محاضرة بعنوان كيف أبدأ بحثا طبيا تلقيها الدكتورة نهى دساس، فلتتفضل مشكورة.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. السلام عليكم جميعا. حقيقة من دواعي سروري أني أكون اليوم معاكم في جامعة الملك عبد العزيز مع أطباء المستقبل القريب إن شاء الله تعالى. نسأل الله كذا أنه يجعلكم أطباء نافعين لهذا البلد وللبشرية كلها بإذن الله تعالى. واحدة من أساليب نفع الناس هي البحث العلمي أو medical research. البحث العلمي الحقيقة حنتكلم في المحاضرة باختصار شديد عن تكون محاضرة باللغة الإنجليزية. Why do we do medical research? And I'll ask you to ask that question. How do we do it? متى بدأ؟ من أهم الشخصيات اللي من عالمنا العربي والإسلام اللي أسسوا لها. There are a lot of opportunities that are missed in medical research, one of which some questions in fact are never answered, and even when they're answered, the medical information provided by the existing research is sometimes not the best or not up to date. Now, من الأصول من ما أصل الناس اللي أصلوا للبحث العلمي ووضعوا أسسه والsteps of proper medical research اللي نعرفها اليوم هم علماءنا الأفاضل اللي نبغوا في أسس البحث العلمي زي ما نبغوا في كثير من العلوم. فحناخد فكرة سريعة عنهم. هذه صور اللي proposed، هي هذه ما نقدر نقول إنها very accurate لعديد من علمائنا اللي أصلوا للبحث العلمي ولكثير من فروع الطب. من أشهرهم الحسن بن الهيثم، دائما يكتب في الميديكال ريفرنسز وفي الريفرنسز وورلد وايد الحزن بالزي ما هو بالاس. في كتاب المناظر، طبعا اللي يعرف تاريخ الحسن بن الهيثم دي will know انه نبغ في الاوبتومتري او علم المناظر. كتاب المناظر من اشهر الكتب. I just quoted some of what he has written, and you can find this book electronically on في موقع مكتبة التراث الإسلامي. لما نتكلم كيف بحث and how did he actually write this book وكيف المنهج العلمي اللي انتهجه. كتاب من أروع الكتب الحقيقة، والأوفثالمولوجيست أتوقع عندهم يعني معلومات أكثر مني في هذا المجال. بس من الجمل الجميلة اللي I quoted from this book: وإذا حقق البحث وأمعن النظر ظهر الاتفاق واستقر الخلاف. لما يكون في اختلافات في آراء الأطباء حول قضية ما، ففي البحث العلمي حيقدر ينقص كثير هذا الاختلاف. وبعد كده في سياق المقدمة حق كتاب المناظر ذكر: ثم نرقى في البحث والمقاييس على التدريج والترتيب مع انتقاد المقدمات والتحفظ في النتائج، ونجعل غرضنا في جميع ما نستقرئه ونتصفحه استعمال العدل لا اتباع الهوى، ونتحرى في سائر ما نميزه وننتقده طلب الحق لا الميل مع الآراء، فلعلنا ننتهي بهذا الطريق إلى الحق. وفي الأخير ختم: وما نحن من جميع ذلك براء مما هو في طبيعة الإنسان من كدر البشرية، ولكن نجتهد بقدر ما هو لنا من القوة الإنسانية، ومن الله نستمد المعونة في جميع الأمور. الجميل في هذه أصول البحث يستنبط من كتابه خطوات البحث العلمي الدقيق، وحتى خطوات استخدام البحث العلمي. أهم خطوة نقح فيها كثير الحسن بن هيثم هي التدقيق أو الكريتيكال أبريزل أو الأبريزنج الميديكال ريسيرش. لكنه الشيء اللي يضيفوه عن العلم الحديث وهم سبقوهم بكثير هو أنه يستعينوا بالله في كل خطوة، والنية الطيبة دائما تضفي على العمل الكثير. الرازي أيضا في تعريفه للطب عرف: أحسن ما في الطب أنه ما أجمع عليه الأطباء وشهد عليه القياس وأيدته التجربة. الريسيرش كان أساس. I quoted 2 slides حتلاقوها شكلها مختلف من international medical schools، كيف وضعوا 5 أصلوا للطب وللبحث الطبي. كان من ضمنهم الرازي، ويكتب في الكتب الطبية الأجنبية رازس، الرازي اللي عاش ما بين 860 ميلادية إلى 932 ووضع أسس العديد من الأمراض اللي مهمة عن طريق البحث العلمي قوي measles and smallpox. ابن سينا أو كما يذكروهم أفيسينا أيضا من الناس اللي وضعوا هذه الأسس، وكان من أجمل ما كتب في احتياجات أو متطلبات أي دواء جديد. فهي it was quoted في عديد من المراجع إنه the drug must have a defined mode of action, it must be tested on a well-defined disease, the time of action must be observed to occur, and the effect of the drug must be seen to occur constantly. In many cases, the experimentation must be done within the human body, for testing a drug on a lion or horse may not prove anything about its effect on human being or on man. هذا ابن سينا، واللي يرجع في أصول الكلينيكال ترايلز حلاقي هذه من أهم الأسس. So why do we do medical research? And so what if we don't? How do we do it? And who should be doing it? When I think about any medical research I want to start, لازم أعرف أنا ليش بأسوي. And is this a topic that I really need the answers for? كثير من الأطباء والطلبة اللي يجوني يقولوا لي بنسوي بحث علمي، أسألهم ليش تبغوا تسوي؟ Why do you want to do this research? في كثير من الأحيان تكون أسباب عديدة. Why؟ في بعض الأحيان يكون interest شخصي، أنا أحب الموضوع بدي أعرف فيه أكثر دي الجزئية. في بعض الأحيان يكون requirement زي البورد certification، في بعض التخصصات تحتاج إنه يكون، في بعض الروتيشنز حتى في الأندرجراجويت عندكم تعرفوا إنه متطلب لها إني أسوي بحث، ساعات يكون promotion. أحدد هدفي من البداية، هذا حيساعدني كثيرا. هل يكفي إنه يكون عندي interest في السبجكت عشان أسوي بحث؟ إيش رأيكم أنتم؟ بس لأن عندي interest يكفي إني أسوي بحث؟ No, but it's important. إذا ما عندي الانترست ما حنجز بحث جيد، فالانترست مهم لكنه لا يكفي وحده. فأحدد why am I doing this؟ هل is there a local need to this؟ في كثير من الأبحاث نسويها، نشوف أحد سوى بحث وساعات يكونوا our colleagues our friends في دول أخرى أو في أماكن أو حتى في مدينة أخرى. أسأل نفسي على مستوى المملكة أو على مستوى اللوكال في جدة أو محل ما أنا بشتغل أو أم بأتدرب. Do I really need this? What will it add? If it won't add anything, في حاجة يسموه so what يعني so what research. What piece of information will this add and how will it help الميديكال practice ككل؟ إذا ما بالفعل حيضيف شيء, there is no need to do this research. لذلك قبل ما أبتدي أي بحث I have to search. والsearching skills هذه في courses يتدرب عليها الواحد في الميديكال databases. في أشهرها واتس فري ويوزر فريندلي PubMed، أكيد كلكم تعرفوا عنها الكثير، لكن في داتابيسز أخرى. فأبحث وتساعدني حتى في معرفة اللوكال، وفي طرق كثيرة أتواصل بها مع المكتبات إني أعرف was there anything done in this subject عشان ما أبتدي. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Doing research is not creating something. You have to add something. If it was already created, you don't need to do it again. So check your local needs and check research gaps. The research gaps تبان في كثير من الأحيان من أحسن الطرق اللي تبين الريسيرش جابس when you look at guidelines. فمثال إنه في الشمس جروب في المملكة اللي هو السعودي hypertension جروب، لما قعدوا بيشوفوا الأبحاث حقت الضغط اللي اتعملت على how to treat patients during the holy month of Ramadan، أو هل في أشياء تتسوى مخصوص في الحج، ما لقوا فيها أبحاث كثيرة، ما تجاوب على الأسئلة. ففي areas قتلت بحثا وفي areas no one has tackled. And we really need them, especially for our special requirements in our community. So check for research gaps. What is needed before you decide on the subject and on the question you want to answer. So the first step is choosing the topic you want to really focus on or do your research on. Then you should check which study design is best suitable for this question or for this research question that you have. Study designs هتكلم عنها بشوية باختصار بعد قليل. Where should I do it؟ في مستشفى، في مركز صحي، في community based, door to door, household، لا والله في tertiary center. That all كل هذا يعتمد على طبيعة المرض أو طبيعة الشيء اللي أنا بدور على إجابته. Check on who will assist you. ضروري when you do a research you have a supervisor that will help you or a mentor that will guide you. It can be more than one supervisor. في جزئيات تحتاج فيها someone who will advise you clinically, someone who will help you statistically, and someone who's just an advisor ممكن يكون or a mentor. And at many times you need more than one person to help you and assess you. Check the costs, because you will definitely need a budget. There is no research that is free. There is always a cost. This cost is time and paperwork and computer programs and so forth. And then you have to write a protocol. Many people start proceeding or a proposal. Where the words protocol or proposal can be used interchangeably. So without writing a protocol, you will be, sometimes people get stuck in the middle because they have not done a protocol. Without writing a protocol or a proposal, you might face difficulties, and these might threaten ending the research prematurely or not even being able to complete it. A protocol will show you what you will do step by step. It will enlighten you, and it will help you with the whole research process. So even if you are not supervised by an organization that demands you write a proposal, you should do it for your own sake. And then you start the actual research projects, and looking at these, you have to define your learning needs to do that. You might need to attend, for example, a course on research methodology, or a course on statistical techniques, such as using the SPSS or other statistical packages. Or you might just need to have a mini course or a mini training on searching the literature for to get references, and that's not an easy task, and it's not taught in many medical schools the way it should be. So you might need that, actually, but you have to define them once you've clarified your research question. Now, before you start, you have to define what is the study design that you will use. As we all know from our community and epidemiology basis, that research is either observational or interventional. And observational is descriptive or analytic. Interventional is randomized control trials or other types of control trials. And there are other which are commonly used, and these are the before and after studies. I'll just make it a bit complex now and go through this hierarchy. The simplest type of study is a single case study or case report. A single case study or case report is the best to describe a very rare event that you've seen for the first time with your supervisor, with your consultant, and this is called a descriptive study. A descriptive study actually does not add much to the medical information, except it enlightens that there is a unique situation here. And if you gather several similar studies here and there, then you have a case series that describes several several cases of the same of the same entity. For example, I'm working with the dengue fever campaign, defeating campaign, and we had a child who was unfortunately had died. But she was diagnosed with brucellosis, and she's a sickler. And then, before she died, they took a blood sample because she started to be hemorrhagic, and we all know that dengue can be hemorrhagic. And it turned out to be on top of brucella and her sickle cell anemia, she had positive antibodies, IgM, for dengue fever. So this was a very rare case, and that's a case that's suitable for case report. If you have multiple, then you do a case series. Now, if you're looking at the prevalence of a problem, you want to look on the prevalence of hypertension, say, in a Jam'a district. So the best type of study you would go to is a cross-sectional study. A case control is best to look at. These are all observational studies, but then when you have to do some analysis on it, you have two more complex types of observational studies, which are the cohort and case controls. Case controls are used for looking at the cases which are quite rare, and you look at how to correlate the disease with an exposure or with a causative or with a causation. The cohorts are the best type of study to determine two things: to determine the prognosis of diseases and to determine if there is a link, a causation, a causative link. And the way we had, and the most famous cohort study is the Framingham study that was about 30 to 40 years. And through cohort studies, we knew that there's a positive, definite link between smoking and lung cancer, for example. Now, For determining what is the best therapeutic intervention, the best type of study is randomized controlled trials. And randomized controlled studies, there are not very much randomized controlled studies that are conducted in the kingdom. They are very costly, and the nature of people in our community are quite reluctant to, حتجرب عليا, you have to take a consent, تقول له والله يا حتاخد دواء يا حتاخد دواء تاني أو حتاخد علاج أو حتاخد placebo. But people are not very easily accepting to get enrolled in it. Non-randomized trials, these are simpler and they are done frequently in the kingdom, where it's like a cross-sectional study that's done on 2 steps. For example, you take patients who are diabetic, and you check their control levels and their adherence to diet, for example. And then you do an intervention. That could be, for example, a workshop on education of these people, on how to do proper exercise, how to take a proper diet, and how to manage to control their diabetes. And then you test that same sample of people after the study, and you see how much did they improve. So this is an intervention. It's called a pre-post intervention, where the results are not as strong as randomization, but they're okay. The final study that probably are not, we have a few only here in the kingdom done, is the toppest one, the systematic reviews. And these are, at least let me say, if you can't do if you cannot do a randomized control trial, then at least you can do a systematic review or plus a meta-analysis on randomized control trials. And simply, systematic review is a collection of several trials or several studies to get a bigger sample size and stronger results, especially when you have results worldwide that are quite tiny, from tiny small results. And up to my knowledge from Prof. Hadrami, I think last year or the year before, here in the university, in King Abdulaziz University, it has been approved as a study type that lecturers and academic staff can get promotions on. So this is a way you can get better results than a randomized control trial, and you don't have to have patients. It is a study of studies, so you get the data from the literature available. So I'll skip this, and we'll go back to it later. Or just briefly, whenever you think of a study, always think SMART. What I mean by SMART, when you look at your question, especially when you come to your objectives have to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Now, many times I have residents and I have interns and I have students who tell me, well, I want to study this or that. And I say, well, what's your exact objective? And they say, well, I want to see what's the people's attitude towards, for example, this issue. And I say, how are you going to measure that? You have to have a tool that can measure that objectively. And that's one of the most important things. It's specificity and measurability. Achievability is also important, because if you cannot attain the objective, then there's no sense in doing it. Now, how to write a research proposal or protocol? First, you go with the introduction, then the rationale. You always have to determine, why did you choose this topic? Is it personal reason? Is there a need locally? And you have to convince whoever is funding the research or approving it, why are you doing it? You have to specify your aims and objectives. And the aims should be, as I mentioned, specific. They should be SMART aims or SMART objectives. Then you go to the methodology. You have to specify your study design, and the study design should be suitable to the question. Not every design is suitable for example, if it's a prevalence, then a cross-sectional. If it's to determine a treatment, then it should be a randomized trial. And then you have to define your study population, their age groups, where will you get them. The sample size later should be calculated before you start the research, and this can be done with a statistician. Okay, that's nice. It's quieter now. This can be determined with a statistician. There are simple statistical programs, and the best, or the one that I like to use, is called EpiInfo. EpiInfo is a free program. It has within it a program called StatCalc. EpiInfo is available on the CDC the Center for Disease Control for free. You can download it on your computer, and then you go to the location StatCalc, and it will help you with someone who's experienced. You can calculate a sample size that is representative to the community. And you should also decide your inclusion and exclusion criteria. You should look at ethical issues, for example. Do you need a consent? Do you need approval from certain authorities? You should also specify your budget. Now, the WHO is a wonderful resource. There are forms where you can that help you to decide your budget and to put the costs of, for example, the questionnaires, the researchers, the data enterers, and so forth. And finally, you end it with your references, which, again, to get them properly, you should learn how to properly search for them. Now, before I close, healthcare professionals are divided into several categories. People who are evidence generators, these are the researchers, who I hope all of you will become researchers one day, even if you do just a single research. And evidence finders, and these are the clinical librarians and us who try to find ready evidence on the medical information system, especially the internet. And evidence users, who are people, clinicians, just use the literature done by others, and that's very important. We all need to know how to use proper research that is made by others properly and decide whether it's good or bad. And that's what you learn when you learn skills of practicing evidence-based medicine. And finally, there are evidence ignorers. So please, if you don't choose to be an evidence generator, evidence finder, or the majority of us user, don't be an evidence ignorer. Final take-home message: research in our country is a need. There are a lot of resources that can help you with doing it. The simplest, the one that gives very easy skills, is the WHO website. You'll find downloadable files on how to write a proposal and how to conduct the research. And there are a lot of resources in the country, here, in the university and in other, in the Ministry of Health, and National Guards, a lot of people who can help you with it. It can be practiced easily, not from the first time, but later you will be skilled. It's enjoyable and very, very rewarding. Thank you.